Hello friends, and welcome to part 2 of today's series regarding the periodic table of elements and electrons. We just reviewed the fact that the order of the periodic table helps us remember how our electrons are organized in their respective atoms by way of the rows. And we just reviewed that the first row, which has hydrogen and helium, tells us that our first ring of electrons can hold up to 2 electrons. The second row carries 8 atoms, therefore the second ring or second shell can carry up to 8 electrons. And the third row from sodium all the way to argon also contains 8 atoms, therefore our third ring or shell can also contain up to 8 electrons. We're going to talk about how to translate this into drawing our atoms right now, beginning with a study of hydrogen, lithium, and sodium, 3 of the elements we find in the first column. So, here we go. Hydrogen is atomic number 1. Therefore, we know it has 1 proton. It also has atomic number 1, meaning that it also has but 1 electron. To determine the number of neutrons, we need to take our atomic mass of 1.008 and round that to the nearest whole number, which gives us just 1. And from that, we subtract the atomic number, which is also 1. 1 minus 1 is 0, so we have 0 neutrons in the average hydrogen atom, and that is okay. Now that we have that established, we also want to make sure that our electron isn't just floating all nimbly out there. We want it to be on a ring, so it has a place where it belongs. So we're going to put that electron on its ring, and now we are done. Moving on to lithium, my friends, we find that lithium has atomic number 3. So I'm going to give it 3 protons. I need to also put some neutrons in that nucleus because if not, my atom's going to be awfully unstable. So I'm going to take my atomic mass of 6.974 and I'm going to round that up to 7. From that 7, I'm going to subtract the atomic number of 3 and get a total of 4 neutrons for my nucleus. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now my nucleus is done. But how am I going to organize these electrons? Well, according to our rules of the periodic table, the first ring or shell of the atom can contain up to 2 electrons. So 1, 2. There's my 2 electrons on the first shell, but it's atomic number 3. So we know that there's a third electron. Where am I going to put it? My first shell is full. That's why we need a second shell or a second ring. So I'm going to draw a second ring around the first one and put my third electron there. Now my atom is complete. I have my nucleus with the appropriate number of protons and neutrons, and my electrons are organized beautifully, 1, 2 on the first shell, and then the third one lives on the second shell by itself. But wait, Miss Rhodes, what does that mean for sodium? Sodium has way more than 3 electrons. Let's find out. It is atomic number 11, so it has 11 protons. Stand by. That's a lot of protons. All right, and then we have to determine the number of neutrons because, man, if you just have 11 protons sitting there together, it's going to get crazy. We need some neutrons to buffer that out. So I'm going to take my mass of 22.989 and I'm going to round that up to 23. Then I'm going to take that rounded mass, my new mass of 23, and subtract the atomic number of 11 to give me 12. That means on average I'm going to have 12 neutrons. Stand by. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And we're done. Okay. Now begins the fun part of organizing our electrons. Ooh, buddy. Our first shell can contain but 2 electrons total. Here's my first shell. 1, 2. Now, sodium has 11 total electrons. We know this to be true. 11 minus the 2 electrons we put on the first shell gives us 9 electrons left over. But can I put 9 electrons on the second shell? No way, buddy. No way, no how. I can only put 8. And that's okay. So I'm going to draw a second shell. And I'm going to draw 8 electrons on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's my 8 electrons on the second shell. Bob's your uncle. That leaves me with 1 rogue electron with no home. But can I give it a home? Can I build it a home? Can I give it its own third shell? I sure can, friends. So I'm going to put a third ring with 1 electron hanging off the end. And now I have all 11 electrons accounted for. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And wouldn't you fancy that? That sodium, being the first element on the third row, is also the first one to get a third ring. Generally speaking, friends, there are 2 really important rules here. The first one, follow the count. The second one, always fill your rings in order. You can't just go throwing new rings willy-nilly if the first ring before it wasn't filled. That, my friends, has been our very first review of how to draw electrons and their configuration in atoms based on the periodic table and the rules we just discussed. Thanks for watching. I'll see y'all later.